Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be playing some the Royal Banner. I was going to say Iron, which was stupid, but it's a Royal Banner deck fully constructed out of, Quick Bladers, Maid Leaders, Bladed Hedgehogs, everything in the early Commander set. I've included a couple Cinderellas because they're a solid return card and they work pretty solidly. The Alberts are a standard. The White Ridge is a nice little Bane Ward, works pretty well. A couple Outdoors which combo quite nicely, and everything else that kind of just fits for the deck. So we've got a bit of hard removal in there, a couple of, triple flames to deal with things like Tove, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Alrighty, first match against Blood. Always a nice showcase when you're versing Blood. We do get to go first, which is good. Give us a little bit of an advantage again. I like having advantage against Blood, especially when you can basically aggro with this deck quite heavily. We start out with a pretty average hand, no 1-drop yet. Drawing into that would be really crazy, but unfortunately we do not see that. Your optimal hand is a 1-2-3-4. If you can't do that, you want a 2-3-4 combo with hopefully Royal Banner on 4 and enough to get damage and control, I guess. If not, Maid Leader into Cinderella is always a nice play, being able to go into that 2 and then into a solid 4-drop. Well, sorry, solid 3-drop, sorry, with a 4-4 stat line, which sets up nicely for a Royal Banner, which does not proc Cinderella's effect, so it does not come back to hand. Unfortunately, this Blood does trade, but it does allow me just to drop Royal Banner for pretty much free without having to worry about their board. Not losing too much tempo with that play, being able to solidify our turn 5. So we have to deal with that. Luckily, this Floral Fencer was the ideal draw, getting us the easy trade and the 1-drop Quick Blader as well, which gives us a little bit of damage. And from here, making it pretty easy just to kill Blood. There isn't really anything to worry about when you've got this kind of build we're running right now. Obviously you don't always get a good hand, but that is the life of a card game player. Playing the Bahamut's no real threat. Them playing Abyss is also not a real threat because they can only deal a max of 8 in the next turn. With the 4 it's only 12, they can't go for that double damage. So we can pretty much just push face for 15, put him to 3, and an easy even Novice Trooper or Aldoa's command play for lethal if they decided to go with the Abyss. But they don't, they do decide to go for the potential clear, which is, I guess, probably what you want to do if you are aiming for something like this. Going for that quad clear. While building a board. Us on the other hand, pretty easy lethal here. Killing off Blood without much trouble. Alright, our next match is against Shadow. This is a trippy little Shadow deck. I would like to call it the meme Shadow for this video. We have the Corpse Lord, or whatever it is, Corpse of Woe, that weird ass card, and a Phantom Dragon Siren combo by the looks of it is what they're aiming for, which is a pretty trippy deck. It definitely was a pain in the ass for me to get through. I do eventually make it through, but it's a very long, arduous process to try and trade into everything. Unfortunately, I don't have much advantage in what I have on board. What I can put on board, sorry. The Bladed Hedgehog, being a 1-3, at least is a decent stat line. But it's hard to get any good value out of unless you get lucky. Which I do get pretty lucky. This Bladed Hedgehog is never really dealt with outright, which is good. We try and do our best, but this Quick Blader here. I fuck up this play so bad though. I should have traded with the Quick Blader first and then used the Hedgehog's attack, which would have gave me 3 instead of 2. A real fuck up that I wish I hadn't have made, honestly. The Phantom Dragon does get dropped. Pretty much, I guess, on curve is what they're aiming for. And it does get the ambush. We do get our next hedgehog though, which is awesome. I love the little bladed hedgehogs. They're absolutely adorable. And there is Corpse Lord of Woe. If I had the cards, I would probably build that deck because it looks like it'd be a real fun time. So I'm guessing you're meant to use Corpse Lord in conjunction with the neutral play. Thus you can like resummon the Corpse Lord and it gets the stat boost on the dragon or something along that line. Otherwise you are just using it as a trade fodder. Unfortunately I can't trade into it due to its evolve at the start of turn ability. I don't want to proc that, especially when they are going to be on 6 if I did. Unfortunately Soul Squasher dealing with the 5/5 in the most effective way possible, and Zombie Power dealing with my 3. Meaning I still can't deal with that Corpse Lord the way I'd like to. Mind you, now that I look back on it, I could have dealt with Corpse Lord in this turn because their shadows wouldn't have been high enough to trigger the next turn evolve stat. So that probably would have been the way I could have went about this, and it would have been a lot more effective than what I'm about to do here. But we do have options. I mean, this guy contests alright, I guess. And it's like an instant kill, so if I had to actually hit the corpse, that would have been really good. Unfortunately, I don't make the best plays all the time. But they do trade their own Corpse Lord anyway, so this is where I should have hit the Corpse Lord. If I had have hit the Corpse Lord here, I would have been in a good spot. I mean, I could have killed the Corpse Lord completely without having to waste this Floral Fence's stat line. And then I could have just played the Floral anyway. And then traded into the that 2-1 there for the draw, and left up a 2-1 that would have been able to deal something, but with how many stuff I had on board, it would have been much better. So it was a terrible setup really to do it this way, which is probably what made this game take so long. If I had have dealt with things in a more effective manner, I might have been right. Plus that 1 damage, as you'll probably see, is quite important. So I try and come up with the best way to trade with everything here. Unfortunately, there is no best way to do that. All I can really do is kill them all off and leave myself with a hedgehog that's huge. So we get a 7-1, 2-1, and a 3-3, and a 2-1. With a little bit of damage to their face, leaving that Phantom Dragon still up, and a pain in the ass to deal with. And then we finally see into the Looking Glass, which I'm assuming is what creates this combo here, which I don't think actually goes off, because for some reason, I don't know whether Siren Tears, when Siren Tears is meant to go off, at the end of your turn. Because Into the Looking Glass turned that to neutral, that's why. So you meant to have that be a neutral and then keep these out, I guess, or something like that. Either way though, we end up with enough damage to go for lethal, which was great. So I was quite happy with that. Alrighty, so we have Rune as our final matchup. Another one where it was a little drawn out and they really made pretty good trades, honestly. And I probably didn't make the best plays that I could have made. And that just comes down to experience. I do believe I made some of the really good Cinderella plays. I was actually quite happy with those, as I usually fuck up my Cinderella plays quite badly, unfortunately. Cinderella can just be a real pain to play sometimes. If you accidentally play Cinderella and don't attack with it, and then play another follower, and then lose your Cinderella damage, it really doesn't feel great. Luckily, I don't do that in this match, I believe. Alrighty, so we get a pretty good board state. That 2-2 getting dealt with without having it proc its ability is really, really good. And luckily we're able to drop a Royal Banner here with the Cinderella on board, not even having to worry about the Cinderella really, since we do have a second one in our inventory anyway. Well, in our hand, sorry. And we can just go face and drop our Floral, why not? Build our board up, get enough boosts, kill this Magic Illusionist, and put the Cinderella back in our hand for another looped combo later on if we choose to. Yeah, this deck is definitely fun. Not the most competitive. You know, you could probably run it, but personally I probably wouldn't in meta right now. Maybe when the meta settles down, this deck could be quite good. You just have to wait and see how things plan out in the next couple days. Alrighty, so they do end up going with the Wizard. Wizardess is a good card. Pain in the ass to deal with occasionally, but for the most part it's not too bad. Cinderella getting its little bit of value here by trading and then returning to my hand with the Maid Leader and Veteran Lancer play. Does kind of waste an evolve, I guess, but the evolve is an effective way to deal with that. I could have saved it for Albert and went for the turn 10 clear. The only problem is a lot of these rune decks have started to tech in cards against things like that. Like some I've seen with healing, some I've seen with more wards, just things like that. Not the most popular rune decks, but a few. So, and this didn't seem to really fit that meta that I have been seeing lately. So we go for the Albert because we have another one in hand which can get us some damage, and this can set up for a potential lethal if we got lucky. Fortunately, another Wizard of Oz, or Wizardess of Oz, sorry, is going to be a problem, especially when they play Red Hot Ritual, which is just, you know, great with our alchemical lore. It's a really weird little deck, honestly, they're playing. I haven't seen a rune deck like it yet, not this in particular. So I should have probably just went for the Albert and dealt the damage, but instead I do decide to trade into the Wizardess here, just because I know Albert can survive this due to its ability, so I thought why not get that trade off instead, and that way it will clear any other spells that they may have drawn. Fortunately it means they didn't have any, but it was a chance I was willing to take. And that Gilgamesh, you know, this is the most random rune deck I've probably ever faced at the moment. I go for the clear and just try to set up a little bit, hoping that I get something decent. Just playing the Cinderella out. You know, why not? Has potential. Unfortunately, Grimnir ruins my day, completely demolishing my board and part of my health. Fortunately, I can try and set up the Cinderella and Floral Fencer. Instead, we do get the Vanguard, which is just better. So playing the Vanguard and the Cinderella together, giving us some value, hopefully. Plus, if the 1/1s do proc, we have a chance at going for lethal in the next turn with the Albert. The most unfortunate luck, though, this Dwarven Alchemist pulling the most clutch plays, giving them exactly what they need to clear this board, the Caladimus Curse. Oh, such an unfortunate play, honestly. It just seems like every time I try and set up lethal, it's just like, nope, you don't need lethal. You should just be dead now. Which is kind of sad. Although we do alright. They go for the Angel of Word. They're trying to go for a full board clear, I assumed. But just didn't quite get there. Just shy of what they needed. Luckily though, this Albert is actually going to do some work. I fucked up majorly though, because if I had have used the Albert effectively, I would have dealt the 3 damage, killed off that, and went for lethal in that turn. I don't know how I missed that, but I did. I managed to miss the easiest play on the entire board. So I'm sure you guys will criticize me for that one. Like, missing that Albert was just crazy. Luckily though, they didn't have anything else and that ended the game, but I mean, how do I fuck that up that bad, honestly? So for all the misplays I made, I did have fun playing this deck. It performed reasonably. There's probably a few things you could change out. I'm not sure where I would start though. I spent a bit of time messing around with the original deck to get to this point, which is fairly different from the original, honestly. I dropped a fair few cards, like the other deck was running Otahime and things like that, but definitely fun. So if you want to give it a shot, the deck list will be in the description below. You can find any other information down there that you may need. I will be doing streams more often, hopefully, and I hope that is picking up for you guys and you can enjoy that. So I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.